Hello and welcome. Today we're diving into something you've probably noticed, but maybe never really thought about, the personality of AI. And we're going to uncover the surprising power behind a tone that, let's be honest, most of us would probably just call boring.
You know that feeling, right? You're talking to a chatbot or a voice assistant, and something just feels a little off. Maybe it's trying way too hard to be your buddy, or maybe it's so flat that it feels like you're talking to a digital brick wall. That feeling, that weird vibe you get, it all comes down to its tone. So let's bust a huge myth right at the start. The common thinking is that a neutral AI is just boring, that it's robotic because of some technical limitation. But the reality? That neutrality is a completely deliberate design choice. It's a strategic move to make the AI feel trustworthy and clear. To really get this, we've got to talk about what's called the AI persona. This is basically the character we as humans can't help but assign to an AI. And just like with people, a huge part of that persona, that vibe, comes directly from its expressive style and its tone. This all leads us to the big question, doesn't it? When you're interacting with one of these neutral-sounding AIs, are you just getting the raw, unfiltered machine? Or are you actually experiencing something that has been meticulously designed and crafted from the ground up? Well, the answer lies in something called the neutrality paradox. This is the whole idea that a tone that seems kind of unexciting on the surface is actually incredibly powerful underneath. It's not about being robotic, it's about being approachable, clear, and trustworthy. So why on earth would designers choose neutrality? Well, it all rests on these four key pillars. First, it builds trust and credibility by seeming objective. Second, it actually makes for a better user experience because it's universal and accessible to pretty much anyone, anywhere. It also helps maintain a consistent brand voice. And finally, and this is a big one, it seriously mitigates risk by avoiding misunderstandings and accidental offense. This quote right here just nails that trust factor. A neutral tone sends a very clear subconscious message. Hey, I'm just an objective tool here to help you. I don't have an agenda. And you can imagine how absolutely crucial this is for any AI that handles important or sensitive information. And, this kind of neutrality doesn't just happen by accident. Not at all. Crafting this tone is a really sophisticated process. It's this amazing blend of precise language, serious tech savvy, and a super deep understanding of human psychology. So how do they actually do it? Well, it really breaks down into three core steps. First, designers meticulously curate the language, picking just the right words and clear sentence structures. Second, they manage the rhythm, the pacing of the conversation, so it feels efficient but not, rushed. And third, they engineer these incredibly detailed system prompts that basically act as the AI's core instructions for how to behave. So, what does curating the language actually look like in practice? Well, it means designers actively avoid things like slang, jargon, and emotionally loaded words like amazing or terrible. They ditch all those extra exclamation points and big interjections like wow, and instead, they use precise, objective words and clean, direct sentences. And behind the scenes, it gets even more technical. Designers write these system prompts like, you are a helpful and impartial AI assistant. Then they use this process, you've probably heard of it, called reinforcement learning from human feedback, or RLHF. That's basically where real people rate the AI's responses, which helps the system constantly test and perfect that neutral tone. But as you can probably imagine, this whole thing is a super delicate balancing act. Designing for neutrality is not easy, and if you get it wrong, you can run into some serious problems. It's really like walking a tightrope. Which kind of makes you wonder, right? What's the single biggest danger here? If you lean too far into neutral without that careful design, what's the negative outcome you are trying to avoid at all costs? One word: coldness. That's the peril. The absolute last thing you want is for your helpful AI assistant to come across as cold, impersonal, and just totally disengaged. This is the robotic bullet that designers are always trying to dodge. And this right here is the fine line they walk. A cold AI feels impersonal and unnatural, but a well-designed, neutral AI feels objective and task-oriented. It uses subtle little variations in language to stay clear, which makes it feel supportive and user-focused without faking any emotion. And this is so important to remember. Neutrality is not a silver bullet. Context is everything. I mean, think about it. For an AI companion built for emotional support, or maybe an entertainment bot, a neutral tone would be completely wrong. The goal of the interaction always determines the right tone.
Okay, so where does this all go from here? I mean, this field is evolving at a wild pace, and the future of AI tone is definitely about moving beyond the kind of one-size-fits-all neutrality we see today.
We can kind of think about the evolution like this. In the past, AI was very robotic and scripted. Right now, we are smack in the middle of the era of design neutrality. But the future? The future is headed towards something called adaptive tonality.
And this future involves a few really cool developments. First, that adaptive tonality, where an AI can actually adjust its tone based on your cues. Second, a much deeper contextual neutrality, so understanding the huge difference between delivering bad news and just looking up library hours. And finally, you'll see highly specialized neutrality for fields like medicine or science, where absolute precision is everything.
So, if there's one thing you take away from all this, let it be this. A neutral AI tone isn't the absence of personality. It is an active, intentional, and really sophisticated design choice. And it has massive implications for how we trust and interact with all this technology.
Which leaves us with a final thought to chew on. As these AI systems become more and more woven into the fabric of our daily lives, from the most boring tasks to the most critical decisions, doesn't mastering the nuances of their tone become not just important, but absolutely essential?